So what are we doing? We're just throwing stuff out there.
Indeed. You ask, we answer.
Hmm. I have a question. I just thought I'd show up and see what the message was.
So,
I like it so far.
good. So, share with us. You don't have to have a question. We're playing with you. You ask, we answer, because there is asking that is continual. That's part of the expansion. Now what? Now what? Now what? Now what? We're all doing it. So, there's always that going on. So, where has this brought you to now in terms of how you are different from where you were, how you were when you sat down to log on here this evening?
Yeah, just quietly enjoying the idea of expansion and choosing every second what feels better. I really like that. Yeah, depression is a thing for real. Grief.
Well, to there's a lot of temptation to attach to moments in physical experience. There's a lot of misunderstanding about the eternal nature of relationships. There's a lot of misunderstanding about the eternal relationship of you and you, never mind you and everyone else. So sometimes that other shoe does drop, and you just want to go back to when it was different. And we understand the temptation based upon the tuning that has been taking place. And yet, not one of you came to hold yourself in a moment. And so, where you are is where you are. And where you are for you experientially is how you feel where you are. And there isn't a right or a wrong about it. That takes a lot of the annoyance out of it. When you cannot feel bad and then beat up on yourself for feeling bad, that really assists human friends a great deal. When you can let yourself off the hook and let everybody else off the hook at the same time, because you do. When you let yourself off the hook, you do let everybody else off the hook. So when you can understand, I'm constantly in motion, I'm constantly expanding. That means becoming greater and greater and greater. Take that however you want. Take that in terms of greater and greater and greater potential, greater and greater and greater energy, feeling greater and greater and greater and greater emotionally. That's not always the case emotionally because you have an emotional response to the thoughts that you're thinking. But when you understand wherever I am, I have the wiggle room to pivot in a direction of improvement. And the shape of improvement when I'm just going from boredom into contentment is different than the shape of improvement going from depression into rage. Different inspiration of now what? Different inspiration of action. You don't usually destroy a plate by throwing it into the wall when you're just elevating right into the contented positive zone of your emotions, but you might throw a plate at the wall when you're depressed and sick of it and just want to lash out at something inanimate that won't go talk shit about you on the internet about how they got done wrong by you. And so you might take your aggression out on some piece of furniture or some dish from the cabinet or something. And if you can just be okay with that and see, we got a little titter out of you there. And so that's if you can do that and Acknowledge, okay, this isn't, I don't have enough dishes or enough money to buy enough dishes that I want to just sit here for the rest of my life and throw plates at the wall. But that one felt a lot better than just sitting here feeling sad. Then,
Actually, I just like sitting here not feeling much, actually. Like that's actually a good improvement for me.
and that's,
And so the whole thing for me is I hear a lot of discussion about desire. That's like I'm like, what? What the hell's desire now? You
well,
know?
desire would be to just sit here and feel less of what you've been feeling until you can figure out how to feel better than you've been feeling.
Yeah.
That's desire. That's desire. And when you can give that intention, that perspective, credit for being desire, for being entitlement to the improvement that makes sense to you based upon where you are in this moment. In other words, you don't, there's no right or wrong to this, but you don't do yourself a lot of favors by denying that you are fulfilling desires in every moment. It's just that sometimes the desires are soft and less dynamic than other times. Sometimes there is a desire to just sit and stare out the window and wait for a bird to fly by so that you can go, a bird, and
Exactly.
not even have an opinion about, oh, beautiful bird. That might be more steps down the trail than you're currently ready to be. But when you can understand, my desire right now is to just do this the way that I'm doing it until something else occurs to me, and give that experience credit for being desire, then it's much easier for you to recognize the desire that feels more like what you've identified desire to feel like.
Yeah, I was pleased with the idea that I'm curious about desire and curious about expansion. I'm like, that's good enough for me right now.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of
So,
course.
yeah, no, I like these concepts. They're pretty basic and right on time.
They're entirely rudimentary and fundamental, and so we dress them up in whatever outfits you friends bring to the party. And yet this is easy stuff. This is not heady overthinking, over-analysis, over anything. This is really just what you're capable of at all times. And so we want for you, right here, right now, for a little while, to just give yourself the credit for not having lost your desire to be. And just understanding that in these moments, it's different than it's been in the past, and it's different than it's going to be in the future, and you're willing to feel okay about where it is right now. And really, that's all you need. That's a full tank of gas to just accept
That's awesome.
the moment.
Hmm.
Yes?
Lovely.
Really good.
Thank you.
We'll share with everyone. It's been a minute since we've had the pleasure of speaking with you, but you really are an OG in the truest sense. In the first 2 weeks that this one was receiving Gabriel verbally, you were among the first handful of conversations that we got to engage with in this way years ago. And so it is a pleasure to find you here now, expanded into, oh, we really have no use for remembering you where you were then, but we can guarantee you your power has increased exponentially. Keep chilling out and wait for what you know feels like inspiration to find you. It's coming at you from so many directions. It's just going to light you up in previously unimaginable ways.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Really good.
Yeah, good stuff.